One of the benefits of the success screen is if we read about a particular fault or challenge, we can quickly refer to our success screen from our last scan and see if this applies to us. Therefore, we're not taking time out on production systems to determine if we have issues. The ongoing use of scans that get stored in the archive allows us to continually refer back to how our environments are and how they may have changed over time. Let's go back to the archive and let's take a look at another server. In this case, we're going to look at a SUSE Linux server. And we see that there are a substantial number of security issues that we need to look at on this particular server. Some of them relate to Firefox, some to bind, some to the kernel. We see again along the bottom quick descriptions of what the error is, how to get the solution information from Novell, and how also to refer to different solutions. If we look at the warnings, a smaller number of warnings, we've got to address those critical things first. Note that one of these refers to use of the update service. We also have some recommendations, and recommendations, as typical, refers to TIDs. And of course, we have our successes, those services which are configured properly and working properly. We could look at them either in the Support Advisor tool or in an HTML report. And when we select a service, we may find that there's a security advisory available to us, the second icon from the left. We can also see results from the pattern check that are not applicable to this particular server. So let's take a look at an example. This particular instance, Novell Cluster Services, is outside the product scope. We're looking at a SUSE Linux Enterprise server. Novell Cluster Services are bound to OES. So even though they're in the pattern, because it's not an OES server, we don't have to worry about it. So what we see is for each of the devices that we've done an analysis, we have the ability to have an archive and store it. We can also remove devices or work with their archives. We could work with notes, rerun that particular task. Let's put a note in. So here's a reminder that this particular server at the time of this run was a brand new install from a pre-existing VMware image. No updates had been done at the time this was run. Kind of interesting to do from time to time when we're building new boxes before we apply updates to take a snapshot. Here's our GroupWise server, and we see that a note had already been created. It's a GroupWise 8 server running on SLES 10. Now, in addition to having our archives stored locally, we can work with them in a number of different ways. We could leverage an archive as a means to help us identify the need to do a service request. So I'm going to log in, and then here we'll see the ability to create a new service request from the web page. We could choose chat, email, or request a callback. And we can specify the account, if we have multiple accounts, that we're placing our request against. We can define our platform, set our severity, put in a description, leverage a particular product, and once we've completed our form, we can submit it. So here's an incredibly simple way for you to log support service requests directly from within the Support Advisor. Of course, if I'd done an analysis for someone and I already had an SR, I could simply upload that using the upload function. I can also do a rerun, and I could delete the archive information. Let's take a quick look at our settings. In the general settings, we could enable a custom archive. We could enable debugging. We could set our archives back to a default. We look at our support configuration. We identify the location of key elements to the tool. And we can set the Support Advisor to automatically look for updates. Returning to our home screen, this is again where we would start, the ability to run a new analysis on an existing server, or now add a new server. Now, one thing that we might like to do is to group our servers together for easier management. So I'm going to create a server group. I'm going to call it Utopia Linux, because that's where they came from. Make the group type SUSE. You see that we can support GroupWise and ZCM on Linux or Windows as group types. And now I'm given the ability to simply click and drop or drag and drop my servers into my new group. I'm going to move these two SLES servers over, click Save, and now I have my group called Utopia Linux servers where I've collected them together. I can still look at my servers individually, or I can look at them as groups. A very flexible way for large environments to manage their environments properly. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this introduction of interest to you. And until next time, peace.